morning and welcome to Raw Vlog number 36. Raw Vlogs are recorded in front of a live steering wheel on my way to getting my Friday morning coffee delivered straight from the camera to you, raw and unencumbered. I'm Alan, this is the MTB Alan channel, mountain bike oriented content, fresh episodes every Monday at 5 p.m. as well as these Raw Vlogs. In today's Raw Vlog, we're gonna do some story time. We're gonna be going back in time to when I first got into mountain biking and why I quit mountain biking. Before we get into that, let's step into channel news. I know last week I said that I got the media mod. I did get that. I also said I wasn't gonna get the light mod. Well, I got the light mod. So we're going to be able to look at that as well. I did think I found some places where I could probably use that thing, so we're going to be playing with that thing. This week coming up on the Monday episode, we're going up to Sky Park. Sky Park is in prime condition right now. It might be getting a little bit dried out, but at least last weekend it was in great condition, and I ended up there both days through a series of circumstances and rode with a bunch of fun people. So that's what's coming out this Monday at 5 p.m. By the way, met two new rippers. Spencer and Jonas. Sorry, Jonas, I keep forgetting your name because I already know another Jonas who's another ripper on a mountain bike, and for whatever reason he has the primary slot for Jonas who rides mountain bikes, so it'll always take me a moment to remember your name. So I met Spencer and Jonas up there and had a really good time. You may have seen a clip on one of my recent Instagram posts. In any case, let's get into Stoke of the Week. Stoke of the Week, actually I've got two this week. It's been, well, okay, one of them is just about this last week and I already talked about it a little bit. Meeting new riders and rippers, and just, it's cool. You can ride the same trail with different people, and for me anyway, it's like, it's a different trail depending on who I'm riding with. And I know like riding with Jonas and Spencer made some of those trails up at Sky Park brand new for me, so that's stoking me out. I mean, and that happened kind of connected to my general thing of just being a little bit more open to riding with people on the trail that I don't know and just throwing people into a train. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. In any case, nothing lost, nothing gained, nothing risked, nothing stuffed. So the other piece of the other Stoke of the Week is really kind of goes back further than a week, but something that I really just kind of realized this last week is that since I've been back on the bike, the it's almost like I've had like a little micro version of my initial getting into mountain biking, of like, you know, my very first like dipping my toe into it and coming into it scared and riding trails that for me now are like are beginner trails, but at the time were like really scary to me, and how that's happened like over a period of a couple of months for me now. It's all like kind of packed in together, and feeling that progress really quickly has been pretty nice. That's my Stoke of the Week. I don't know if there's stuff I forgot, but that Stoke of the Week is really kind of what got me to think about that beginning phase. And so, yeah, I quit mountain biking pretty hard. I never wanted to look at a mountain bike again, and I had no intention of ever getting on a bike on the dirt for a long time. And I'm going to tell you that story. So we're going to have to go about 13 years back to 2007. In 2007, I had been doing like, not road biking, I was like city biking. So I had like a single speed, I had a fixed gear. Yes, I had a fixed gear. I also had tight jeans, so deal with that. Yeah, got that picture? Cool. So I was riding bikes a lot. commuting and just kind of doing that sort of riding. And then I had a couple of buddies who were really into mountain biking, and so I was like, oh, I'll try this thing out, mountain biking. And looking back on it, I guess these buddies were more into what you would call bike packing or adventure biking or adventure mountain biking, because one of the first rides that I did, I think the earliest ride I remember, was from Redlands to Morton Peak, spend the night, and then from Morton Peak to Angeles Oaks, and then all the way back to Redlands that next day. So to give you an idea, in case you don't know the area, from Redlands to Morton Peak, it's about 32 miles with around 3,200 feet of climbing. And by the way, we started at like, I don't know, 8 at night or something like that. Maybe not 8 at night. We started at night. So I think I was borrowing lights. No, I had lights from like, but they were like the kind of lights you would use on the road, not mountain biking lights. So that wasn't great. I was on a borrowed bike. I didn't have a mountain bike at the time. And it was this like big, heavy, made out of, I don't know what it was made out of, but it was heavy, and it was a full suspension bike. And I was like trying to crank that thing up this nasty fire road with a pack on my back and all my sleeping bag and stuff like that, right? So loaded up and pedaling up a whole bunch. Fortunately, I had like the city biking, the road biking experience, so I had a little bit of pedal fitness, but still, I didn't know anything about riding on dirt. I pretty much fell all the way up the mountain. I was clipped in. Oh my God, like looking back at this, I'm like, anyway, so just so you know, this isn't why I quit. So all that, we get up there, we camp up on Morton Peak, which is pretty amazing, by the way, because there's like a fire watch station up there, and you can rent that fire watch station. So if you're in the area, that's a pretty cool thing you can do. It's beautiful up there. Spent the night up there. The next morning, woke up all rickety from having fallen up the mountain, and then pedaled another 12 miles and 12 or 25-ish hundred feet up to Angeles Oaks, and then rode down. Somehow I still wanted a mountain bike after that, and I think actually looking back on it now, a lot of it was seeing one of my buddies, Trevor, and seeing how like fluidly he could come down a trail, and it just looked beautiful, it looked fun, and I wanted to be able to do that. And I had the benefit of having a good friend who was well employed and had a passing interest in mountain biking, and he had a small Marin, I want to say it was like a East Peak with a coil shock. Yeah, so he lent me that forever, and he basically never took it back. So kudos to you, Eric, for basically giving me a what was a pretty dang nice bike at the time. I don't know, was that a nice bike? I don't know. It was a full squish aluminum Marin from the early 2000s. In any case, size too small. I knew nothing about suspension setup or anything like that, and I didn't know anything about learning any basic riding skills, but I got on that thing and just started like riding it whenever I could and just going. And before you knew it, things went bad. And it's funny looking back on that day when things went bad, the moments before things went bad, there was a lot of parallels to when things went bad and resulted in my wrist injury. Not totally the same, but similarities. We were riding at Holdacrooks, and we had gotten up to the top. We were getting ready to drop in, and my buddy like ran into one of his buddies, and then they started talking, and there was a lot of talking going on, and I honestly just got really impatient and was like raring to go. When it was time to drop in, I pretty much just like let the brakes go and just wanted to send it. I had wasn't paying attention, just wanted to go fast, just wanted to go. And And the next thing I knew, I was sitting up, wondering what was dripping on my shoulder and hands, and tripping out on the weird angle that my finger had. So, dislocated finger, totally ripped open my face. I actually ripped open the side of my mouth, and yeah, pretty beat up. So if you've ever noticed this scar, that's what that was from. Like at that time, you could see back into there. It was pretty gnarly. Stitches up here, stitches all over. The whole side of my face, basically, for the next couple of weeks looked like pastrami. And yeah, that was pretty rough. And from that moment, I didn't even like looking at the mountain bike. And you know, we were living in an apartment at the time, and the mountain bike ended up like sitting outside on the balcony, and I just kind of ignored it and had no interest in mountain biking. And it took a long time, you know. It was almost 10 years later before I wanted to get back on a mountain bike. And yeah, and getting back on the mountain bike, man, it was, I don't really know, I don't always understand myself, because like I knew I had that bad experience, and when I got a mountain bike, I like bought a Specialized rock hopper from a buddy for a couple $100, hardtail XC bike, and I remember just taking it out and finding a little dirt path, and it had like this tiny little descent on it, and just trying to go down that little slope just scared the heck out of me. I walked it the first time. I mean, looking at it now, like if any of you were riding that now, you wouldn't even think of it as a feature or anything. It would just be like a little downhill, like that, not even a downhill, just a little slope to like a flat area. But I was too scared to ride it, and it took me a while to get up the nerve to do that. And then riding the local trails, Holder Crooks, yeah, I just remember like my fingers would be sore from grabbing the brakes all the way down. I don't know why, like I stuck with it though. I mean, a lot of it was getting back out into the dirt. We've talked about that before, about how that's how I initially got into mountain biking, about just like getting out and away. But yeah, I don't know, there's not really a point I'm trying to get to. I just wanted to tell you that little story about like when I got into this back in 2007, and how to some degree it's a little bit unlikely that I'm back into mountain biking. But I'm stoked that I'm back into it. And as you've seen, I've had, I don't know if you've seen my earlier injury, but I've had 2 pretty major injuries, and I'm still passionate about it and still always wanting to be on the trail. So yeah, maybe I think one of the messages could be like, what was the difference between then and now? And I would say the major difference between that, like where I was at during that first crash and where I'm at now, or during these last couple of injuries, is connection to the community. I did have those buddies, but I think after I crashed, there was, you know, like we would see each other, but there wasn't, we were like, just knew each other as people from the coffee house or whatever. I knew them in other ways, but we weren't connected through mountain biking. And I think that was one of the major differences. I think also I wasn't getting the same level of joy out of riding at that time. I'm getting a lot more joy out of riding now. And I think also just generally the mountain biking community where it is now compared to where it was at back in 2007 is a little bit different. It's a lot different, I would say. So yeah, I'm stoked on that. I'm stoked to be back in mountain biking. Hope you dug the story. If you dug it, hit that like button. Let me know you dug it. Help support the channel. Hit that subscribe button and get new episodes every Monday at 5 p.m. Hope you dug this raw vlog. See you next week.